the jackhammering also stopped, so that was nice.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton of energy now because you just sucked the life out of me in that hour that I was really going, man. And then, like, you just had to eat a fucking breakfast burrito, and now I'm dead. So thanks for that. Bo, use this for the cold open, Bo.
Have you been sitting there the whole time?
I've been doing other stuff, but like it's 2:00 here, man. It's when my body starts to crash. Siesta for every culture except our stupid American one.
All right.
It's been recording. I mean, we've been recording. So.
But right, you could stop and then.
No, because this is Vo has to. I have to drag Vo through the beginning here so that he can find a cold open, or not. So hey, Vo, I'm glad. I hope that you've been tuning in very eagerly to see when we start talking about this. I may or may not clue you in on when we actually start the podcast.
Episode 5. 4 is the last one podcast. So this is episode 5. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the What's the Point podcast, episode number 5. We just counted them up in linear fashion from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and now we're at number 5.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about math today a little bit. So I figured we would like lay some groundwork for everyone first.
Yeah.
The podcast today, we're going to be talking about the need for off-season training and the need to train in some form or another year long. Goose?
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, it's just one of those things where we just know too many. I have too many friends who go and take a lot of months off from training entirely and then try to play themselves into shape each year for the Ultimate Frisbee season, and they get injured. It's like a surprise each time. I don't get it necessarily how it can be a surprise each time, but it commonly is. So yeah, let's talk about why. Not everyone has to be obsessed with this like I am, right? Like I train 6 days a week all year long, but
yeah. So that's the normal for you. I guess
right.
You just have to. It's all relative. And you need to try to make your normal closer to what you're going to ask of your body, ultimately speaking. See, that's great. There's a pun in there. I don't know if you can.
I'll try to find it later.
Yeah, you'll find it. We'll put a mark in the podcast of when I make puns, and then people can try to go back and find them.
For the record, it's 11:32 Pacific time.
Yeah, because that's what I meant by time mark. And not something to do with where we actually are in the podcast.
Yeah, who knows where that will be.
We talk about things like acute and chronic workloads. We're talking about math and ways to objectively speak about training or quantify our amounts of training and workloads. The research that we're going to be referring to and that you can see if you're watching this is a chart of acute to chronic workloads and the ratio. And this is a research that was done by Tim Gabbett. And a lot of this can explain why there has been this, flux, higher degree of hamstring issues and ACL tears and Achilles issues with professional athletes recently, especially when it comes to the NFL. The way that the preseason used to be formatted for NFL players allowed them to play their ways back into shape. And you just keep accumulating volume of play that's, the same type of intensities and durations of the actual game. And then they slowly add to their volume so that when they hit the full in-season period, they're going onto the field having already accumulated all of this type of stress and adapted to it. So when you take all-star players and then you try to protect them from preseason play and you don't have them play as much and those volumes aren't built up, then if you go from a very low training load to all of a sudden a very high training load at high intensities, there's much more likelihood of failure. And if you look at a chart like this one, you see that this sweet spot, we're talking about ratios of workload. So acute meaning short period of time, chronic. When they talk about this research, the chronic workload is a 4-week rolling average. So whatever type of work that they're quantifying. So we'll just say like these are arbitrary units. It could be changes of direction. It could be actual mileage covered on the field. It could be the actual force in newtons that they're outputting or asking their muscles to output. It could have to do with heart rates. It could have to do with VO2, whatever you're measuring as a workload unit. So we have the green sweet spot zone being 1.0. So that would be like from week to week having, say you have 10,000 units of work on 1 week, and then that becomes your rolling average over the course of 4 weeks. If I was to exceed that, it's like 1.3 to 1.5, as you see over on the right here. That's when I start to ask for some type of issue, or more likely to have some type of failure or injury. And you can also see on the other end here, if I was to stop training as much, I also have a little bit more of a predisposition to potential injury. And this isn't saying for certain that this will happen. You know, there are a lot of people that could add a lot of volume per week and still be okay. That doesn't mean that that's what you should do. These are all, based on averages. So a good example of this would be like if I was in the gym and I was doing a certain amount of work, say in pounds, just moving weight, and my 4-week average for doing, say, a deadlift was 30,000 pounds a week. So maybe I did 28, and then I did 29, and then I did 30, and then I did 31. So that 4-week rolling average would be, around 30. If I take that, and then in the next week, in the acute period that we're talking about, I was to jump up to say like 50,000 pounds of work, that would be way over a 1.5 ratio. Okay. So like that 1.5 ratio with 30,000 pounds of work would be 45,000 pounds, if my math is correct. You know numbers, Goose. Is that right?
Yeah, I would try to do the math, but
you got a calculator handy there, bud? No, so that's what it is. So just thinking about it from that perspective, like if you were to not play Frisbee for 6 weeks and then all of a sudden try to go play a tournament, you might get pretty banged up. So this sort of way of thinking about it from a mathematical perspective is important, but it's not the only thing that we're concerned about. And the research is not only concerned about this either. This is only just like a piece of this. So the other things that you need to take into consideration are age, training, history, injury history, and then the physical qualities or biomotor qualities that you develop through training. And these are all things that we take into consideration. Age, I can't really do much about, but that can be shown in the research as being something that predisposes people to injury. If you take care of yourself and you do stuff that we prescribed to do, then you can kind of help curb that. Training and injury history. If you have one of the things that is going to put you at risk of injury is previous injury. And that seems very obvious to say, but if you've hurt your calf, you have a higher likelihood of hurting your calf again. Training history. So having some semblance of training age as you go through your athletic career is important. And then making sure you're actually working on these physical qualities so that you can handle internal and external loads. Like all of these things are important. So thinking about it from that perspective, like why is off-season training important? And like what we're trying to talk about here, why is training year-round can be important? Because you work on these physical qualities, you grade the levels of exposure to the stresses so that you're less likely to exceed this acute to chronic workload increase. That's too much. And it just keeps you ready to play the sport that you want to play.
So if we were to just look at this from, let's say our unit of output is steps, let's say, to put it in the Fitbit world of conversations.
Yeah. That seems like an analogy that would resonate with people.
Yeah. I mean, 10,000 steps is not a completely arbitrary figure made up by somebody in Japan. And we were to take a look at that and like say our ultimate Frisbee tournament, cutter, I don't know, at club or college level, we'd pretty much be able to identify what sort of training load we would need in order to prepare for that, and then reverse engineer our way to grade that exposure, right?
Yeah. So that part of the thing with our programs, we use a lot of tempo running, and we progress volumes of tempo running to match the volumes of the sport based on our research of what the needs analysis or the yardage of actual sport is. I won't get into the particulars of that because it's kind of the secret sauce, but that whole idea of we take, we work on high intensity outputs with sprints, and then we also try to build volume of sprinting through tempo running, and we build it up through the off season and preseason into a way for when you hit tryouts and you hit the start of your practices that you're not going to have these weird like calf pulls and quad strains and hamstring strains because you've already built up the volume of running. So just say over the course of a 5-hour tryout, you ran 1.5 miles on the field, just say. If you haven't been doing 1.5 miles of quality running before this, when it's, intermittent and it's broken up into interval type of training, then I would say you're going to be much more likely to suffer from some type of failure, tissue failure, for instance.
Yeah. And if we were to just take that and look at this chart, you would say, especially if they haven't even been running a mile.
Yeah.
At the intensities, right? This is the 1 to 1.5.
So I'm gonna jump back in here and say, let's call it a mile. But do not misconstrue what I'm saying is go out and run a mile.
Right.
I'm talking about doing tempo running.
Run for 5 hard minutes and you're ready to play ultimate.
Yeah, that's not what I mean. Because running for long distance running and sprinting that happens on the field are very different things mechanically.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. If you can take home one little snippet or training tip from what I'm talking about with this ranting about the chronic and acute workloads, long distance running is not sprinting. So the reason why we use tempo running as a training tool is because it is the slowest type of sprinting that we can do. And by that, I mean it is fast enough so that you utilize the same type of motor units and nervous system recruitment as you will with the sprint, but it's low enough in intensity that it's not super taxing and doesn't take a long time to recover from. And it's something you can do often to help safely build volumes of sprinting.
Right.
So yeah, if the too long didn't read version of this, don't go out and run 2 miles because you think, hey, my GPS watch said I ran 2 miles in my league game, so now I'm going to try to run 2 miles as fast as I can.
Right.
Talking about energetically and mechanically different things. Thank you. I'm going to smash this mic on the ground right now.
You just drop it 1 inch onto the table.
Yeah. So I feel like I've been just saying a lot of things and hopefully people aren't falling asleep and I've lost them. But the general things that we're trying to get across, like the takeaway points here are make sure you have a progressive plan to come back to playing. Make sure that you're working the continuum from general qualities to specific qualities. So at the end of the season, you're very high intensity, very specific stresses that you're dealing with from playing at high levels and in high volumes. So we take a step back from that. We work on the general capacities of the human body. So strength, mobility, tissue quality, things like that. Energy systems, cardiovascular, so central adaptations at the heart, and then peripheral adaptations with the vasculature that are low enough intensity that you can do long durations of it so you can get some adaptation there. Those are a little bit different than what you work on when you're specifically running intermittent sprints and repeat sprints. So you were kind of using the whole spectrum of athletic qualities and making sure that we train all of them over the course of the year.
Yeah, I think you pretty much just said what broad, good, general programming looks like. Right?
Yeah. And
general
then off season looks like that. Preseason is a little more specific. In season is very specific, and postseason is as specific as it gets Be as explosive and powerful as possible with the adaptations you've developed and the techniques that you've been working on for the whole season. And crush your opponents.
Yeah. I guess like the thing that I want people to take away apart from the major points that you've already illustrated is that you can't really do these things. You can't grade this exposure in a really small amount of time. Like you can't just jump right into it and just expect that your body is going to adapt without problems, given the volumes and intensities that we see in this sport specifically. Like if we're talking about playing mini golf, you're going to be fine. You can not play mini golf and then you can just jump into playing mini golf. But we're talking about a sport where you play 8 games in a weekend, each game being an hour and a half long, and there's quite a bit of sprinting involved in it.
So I think that I'm not sure, like, if you're trying to just offend everyone, but like now you don't like puppies and you're telling all the professional mini golfers of the world that they don't play a real sport. So like, I guess we're just trying to go after people every week on this podcast. Is that what you're trying to get at?
I'm trying to get more and more niche when it comes to offending people.
Let's alienate everybody.
First, I want to start with the puppy lovers. I don't understand. I mean,
this place is not for you. if you don't like puppies, yeah. None of the P's in GPP stand for puppy.
Or putt-putt.
Yeah, or putt.
I know it's different than mini golf for those of you.
Is it? Putt-putts are a brand, right? That's the company?
Yeah, there's like – and one of the two has like an actual specific course that's the same everywhere.
I think every one of my birthdays between like 11 and 18 was at putt-putt golfing games. Just because the arcade games they had there were so good. So good. And if you paid for like a certain block of time, you got unlimited tokens.
Oh, wow.
It's like the crazy, and then like there's popcorn and hot dogs and pizza and stuff, and you could play mini golf. But that, like, the mini golf was just whatever, you could go do it once, but then you don't want to play Mortal Kombat for 4.5 hours and just drink a bunch of Mountain Dews. Anyways, so yeah, train year round, do something. Don't take like a fat month and then think that you deserve it and then wonder why everything hurts when you come back. Or why like walking upstairs is hard again. Don't do that.
Feel free to go do other things, right? Like we're big proponents of, doing some like cross training, for example, but especially, younger and younger athletes want them to go have a lot of varied movement, but, don't go rock climbing a ton and then expect your legs to do the things that they're supposed to do playing ultimate if you haven't sprinted, if you haven't run.
Yeah. Exercise is not exercise.
Yeah.
So that's an important thing to consider. Also thinking about like with the holidays coming up, like having some sort of plan to keep you honest is really important. Like finding a way to keep yourself accountable, like having a training community is really helpful. And, it's a plug for our product, but like, knowing that other people are there doing it with you is very helpful. And also putting what you're doing up on a message board or talking to people while they're training, like it's going to help carry you through the holidays. And when you think about it, like if someone over the course of their life after they leave college, like typically people gain weight very steadily as they go through life, like that's just an accumulation of holiday seasons. So if you normally gain 5 pounds every Thanksgiving and Christmas time, 7 years, you're looking at, was it 35 pounds?
Sounds like 100 pounds, but my math is probably wrong.
Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, just think about it that way. Like just have a way to curb the holiday seasons that are occurring or happening in this off-season period. Just do something.
Fork put downs and table pushaways.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Also, just don't stop training during that time period. I think that's a large part of it. It's, you get hit on both ends of the spectrum. You're fed incredible amounts of food that are delicious. And I'm not telling you to not enjoy those things, but you can't also just completely fall off the bandwagon of training and expect to be okay on the other end of it every time.
And also people tend to stop running and sprinting, especially when they're in the off season. Don't do that. Do something, even if it's shorter sprints. I know people have they have environmental constraints and they can't get outside to run longer sprints, but even if you have 5 or 10 yards in the gym that you work out at, do some sprints. And that's why we have shorter sprinting in our programs year long.
Yeah.
You do it immediately. Once you're in the off season, after you go to regionals or nationals, there's still sprinting. It's in lower volumes, but there's still some sprinting in there just to keep the muscles firing at that speed and the nervous system. Because those type of highly tuned nervous system adaptations, they go away pretty quickly. So you got to revisit those. You got to keep things working. You got to keep things finely tuned.
Yeah, if you can get your body on one of those free running treadmills, self-propelled ones, do those. It's nice. At least you're pushing it as opposed to keeping up with the treadmill. And even keeping up with the treadmill is better than not getting the running in at all.
Yeah, indoor tracks exist. Indoor soccer complexes exist. So find one of those too.
Speaking of holidays.
Yeah.
Are you frozen?
You look frozen. It says my internet connection is unstable. Are you back now?
I think I'm back.
Now you look super blurry on my end.
All right. Are we good now?
Honestly, your video has been choppy the whole time, so I don't know what that's about. Do you have your settings set to HD?
I think I have it set to smooth my face and everything.
Okay, maybe there's too much face.
I don't.
There's too much to smooth, so
I do have it set to HD.
Okay. It doesn't look like it.
That segue didn't really work though. We got cut off by the internet.
Well, I was in the middle of talking and then you just cut me off, so why don't we try that again?
All right. Sounds good. I couldn't even tell that you were talking. You were just
because it froze up. That's great. Just leave all this in, Bo. And just play the Benny Hill music in the background. It's like the yakety sax.
Yakety yak.
No, that's a different thing.
It's totally different.
Let me see if I can find it here. Let me try to slow down the connection even more. So while I'm looking this up, why don't you talk about what you were going to say?
It's too late now. It's already loaded.
You know this song?
I do, yeah.
This is like what they used to play during Benny Hill. You know what Benny Hill is?
Yeah. They used to just run around in fast mode. Yeah.
So
we're looking at more stuff.
Yeah, you're supposed to be talking, but you're not saying anything.
All right, that's my fault. I was going to say, speaking of holidays, we have some good news for those of you listening and for the people who just find out about it through other means as well, I guess. We aim to be having Great. I'm glad this is the background. And you're just in it. Look at you dancing.
There's there was just weirdly Michael Jackson in there. We're
gonna have a holiday fire sale or sale. We're gonna have a sale, and in that sale, we are going to discount blocks of time.
The school children! Oh, baby! This isn't a fever dream! You can't even see where the job is!
Insane.
All right, anyways, what were you saying?
We're going to sell blocks of time at a discounted rate for those of you who are committed to training for larger periods of time and give you a chance to save some dough as a result.
So what you're saying is For those who feel like they've missed out on standard membership enrollment, they'll have an opportunity to enroll in either 6-month or 12-month blocks of programming.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So what about premium? Are we also going to be offering that for premium members as well?
I'll have to consult.
The answer is yes.
Let me see if I can.
Goose has been in the Dominican Republic for a week, so now he feels like he just isn't a part of the company anymore.
I'm going to phone a friend.
So I'm going to answer for our viewers. Yes, so premium and standard members will have the opportunity to enroll in a 6-month block of training and get 1 month free, or a 12-month block of training and get 2 months free, because math.
2 months.
Wow. And I know what you're thinking. For those who are already enrolled in our programs, you will be able to upgrade and get the same sort of deal. So even if you are a premium or a standard member, you can use the 6-month enrollment period to get a free month, or the 12-month enrollment period to get 2 free months of your already fantastic programming experience with Game Point Performance.
Hashtag you're welcome.
Hashtag you're welcome. Yeah. So the fear of missing out is over.
You can still get in.
Come Black Friday.
Yeah. We're going to even give them a little bit of an entry that was not previously devised.
Yeah. And that's not a euphemism.
Yeah. A special program.
I'll give you a special program. All right.
Special program.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
We're having a fire sale. Oh, the burning! Evacuate all the school children. Oh, this isn't a fever scene. Can't even see where the dog is.
this isn't a fever.
This isn't a fever.
I don't think
Evacuate.
I'd heard that line before.
Evacuate all the school children.
This isn't a fever.
I got a fever. And the only cure is 6 to 12-month blocks of GPP programming. So, yeah, I feel like we've sufficiently answered everyone's questions that they could ever have about why they should off-season train.
Yeah, or even preseason train.
Yeah, or even any season train.
Yeah, I mean, the excuse is now gone for those people who are like, well, I don't really know what to do, so I'm just going to train whenever the season rolls around.
Yeah.
And put myself into shape. Like,
because I know there's a lot of you.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of why we made this thing is it's just, that excuse was kind of legit for a while. It's like, all right, well, not everyone knows how to do all this stuff, and not a lot of strength coaches or especially trainers know what the demands of the sport is, so it's not like you can go use them as a resource.
Yeah.
They would just do some random stuff to make sure your core is nice.
If you're lucky.
Yeah. But
This could be a segue into me ranting about the state of personal training, but save that. We can save that for another time.
Yeah, that's not today.
Yeah. Cool.
We still don't have a good cold close, because obviously we don't have a warm close. So
I don't know. Is cold close a thing?
It is now. I mean, This is how we cold close. I think we cold close every time. I think Bo just does whatever he can.
Yeah. Well, just you mean we need something to play us out?
Yeah. Is it going to be? Well, you already closed the fire sale. Are you going to bring up the yakety music again? And that's
I was gonna bring up Bill O'Reilly screaming.
What?
Have you seen? We'll do it live.
No, I don't think.
You've never seen We'll Do It Live?
I guess not.
Oh man, hold on.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. And we will leave you with I can't do it. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
And thing sucks.
Yeah. 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks again for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away.
What just
You've never seen that?
no.
Yo, man, everyone that watches these things or listens to these things is losing respect for you just week after week. Like, you don't like puppies, like mini golf you got problems with, and like you've never seen We'll Do It Live?
No, I've never
Like,
seen
everyone that ever paid attention to us on Reddit, they're just like downvoting this. Just,
and I legitimately got in a lift last night with Kayla leaving the Dominican Republic and then the airport here, and there was a puppy in the back. I made her sit in the back with the puppy.
messed up, man.
Why would I want to be back there with that dog? It's not my dog.
Yo, man, free kisses.
Yeah. I don't go around licking people. They seem to appreciate that.
And scene. Bo, cut it off there or do whatever. I don't know. Cold close, which I think is something that Goose just made up.